Hi guys, Sasha here. Welcome back to Creative Frenzy. Okay, today we're going to make our own little art journal. That's the word. So I had some of these sample papers that I made from my own pseudo watercolors, from leftover acrylic paints. So I just wanted to prove to you that, well, I'm sure many of you know, you want to extend your paint as far as you can. So instead of using acrylics full strength, I watered them down and put them in recycled yogurt drink bottles. And then I sort of have, a different form of paint to work with. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, so I have a bunch of colors and I did some samples and now we're going to make something with it. However, I also wanted to make a stencil at the same time. So instead of cutting with an X-Acto knife and all that stuff, I want to make something a little bit more freeform. I've done these on medication bottles before, but today we're going to do it on silicone. We're going to make a stencil instead of a stamp. Okay, these silicone mats you can get at the dollar store actually, and they're just a couple of bucks, not overly expensive. They're to hold your hot glue gun and, like heat tools and things like that, so you don't burn your desk or anything like that. You put your hair straightener on there, things like that. Anyway, but it's sold in the craft aisle. It's just silicone. And it's perfect for this kind of thing. So plug in your hot glue gun. I have my heavy duty one here. We're just going to make a freeform kind of thing with a frame around it. So, well, you don't even have to have a frame around it, but all you're doing is just pouring, okay? And make sure your hot glue is in there. Because silicone will release it nicely. And it's going to get smoky. So to connect where you can. And we're going to set it aside. You can trim this with scissors, obviously. Okay. So the hope is to sort of have some kind of free form stencil, basically. Okay, so you can make it as big or as small as you want. If you want something smaller, you absolutely could. Don't make the holes too big, I guess, because it won't be as sturdy as a regular stencil, but it'll be fun to sort of experiment and play. So that's what we're doing today. So I'm going to set this aside to let it cool. Okay, I'm going to put it over that way and just let it sit. Make sure you don't put anything on it and just let it cool down, and we'll play with it later. So these are the papers I worked with earlier. These are a bit smaller. This is just regular cardstock, 8.5 by 11. This is from my sketchbook, so it's quite a bit thinner. And I sprayed it with some kind of glitter spray, so it has a bit of a sheen to it. I made my own kind of glitter spray kind of thing with some Pearl-Ex. And then here, these are just the plain watercolors that I just played with. Okay, so we're gonna make, I don't know if we're gonna make a booklet style. You know what, let's just see. So this is 9 by 12, okay? 9 inches by 12 inches, according to my mat here. So 9 by 12. Okay, and even if you can see that, it's hard to keep it all in frame, but work with me. You can use whatever size you like, whatever size you want to play with. You can stencil and do all kinds of stuff ahead of time if you want to, but papers like this, if you just sort of, testing different things and you like the colors, you're happy with it, you can eventually change them into something like this. So you can make your own little art journal and have fun with it. Let's see what we can do. was going to get my big cutter out, but it's way too big for my desk, so we'll see if this will work. I don't know if this one will work. That is way too... can we squeeze it in? No. Okay, we will do it the other way. So we just want... I think I'll do it 3 by 3 or 3 by 4? 4 by 3? I don't know. We'll start with one and we'll go from there. Now you can make several of these if you wanted to, obviously. If you wanted to do something fun altogether. Okay. You could do, I don't know, any number of things, but we're going to do this maybe by 3 by 4. I think that's a pretty good thing. Now there's 2 different ways you can make these. You can make these all separate and then connect them on the back and make it like an accordion style. Or you can make one a little bit shorter than the other, fold them in half and half and half again, and have them all attached. This one I'm going to do accordion style. I've done this with playing cards, which is really cool. So if you have a deck of playing cards and you feel like, you know, doing something on a small scale, this is a lot of fun. But see how everything just sort of, now, you know, it looks like a lot more fun, right? Because it's minuscule, it's a lot smaller. So you can play with it a little bit more. It's a nice way to switch things up a little bit. And Mother's Day is coming up. So something like this would be really cool as a gift for Mother's Day. Or even Father's Day eventually, you know, that's coming up too. But that's the one sheet, okay? So that'll be one booklet. Because one sheet, you know, you get quite a few pages. So we're going to keep that one separate. And this one we are going to keep whole, okay? Well, whole, relatively. We're going to cut it in half, so it should be let's see, so it's 9, so 5.5. Okay, that is not even close, so it's 12. Aha, 6. Nope. It's the same size. Yeah, I want to do it this way. So it's 4.5. Okay, and then one of these you're going to cut a little bit off, like maybe 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. So when you put them together, it's not going to interfere with your fold. Okay, so let's set that aside. All right. So the first one is to overlap. Okay, so one is a little bit shorter than the other. So you're going to overlap them a little bit. However that is. We could use a glue stick, but that would probably take too long. I'm going to use my hot glue gun. If you have a way upside down, right side up for this, by all means, you know, figure that out. But you're going to overlap that a little bit. Okay? And you want that as straight as you possibly can make it. Hot glue is just very, very quick for me to use and let it dry. Okay? And then from here, you're going to fold in half. The idea is to fold in half, but that's okay. Okay. You can use your bone folder with this, obviously. And you can make this as big or as small as you want. I am just sort of generally getting it together like this. And then in half again, wherever your fold is. And then in half again. I find this the easiest way for me. And then you can fix it to however you feel like doing it. Okay, so now you have your accordion fold. So you can decorate that any which way you want. You can make a cover for it out of just you know, a piece of cardboard, cover it up with some pretty paper or paint it, and then you can do whatever. These would make cute little happy Easter or welcome spring kind of thing. But this way you can use it as, you know, either a card or a gift or your own little art journal, and you can decorate it any which way you want. Okay, a cover, you just make it a little bit bigger than your accordion fold style. Okay, and then you can cover it with pretty papers. You can paint it. Dina Wakley, what did she do? She used little canvases actually, which I thought was kind of cute. So if you wanted to do something like that, you absolutely could. You could do a little, you'd have to have your papers the same size as your, so if you were to cut this down into the width of your canvas, you can use the canvas as book cover. So your paper would be on the inside, right? So that's kind of cool. It's a different way of using up your scrap papers, but this way it looks a bit more abstract and more artistic, right? So you can do whatever you feel like with that, which is really nice. Now, this one. So this one you can lay them all down. If you have a, you know, a right way or a wrong way, it doesn't matter. I kind of like the surprise of how it looks. I haven't done anything else on here, so I'm just going to lay them side by side. And I leave just a little bit of space. Okay. And we can add these onto it afterwards. So here, masking tape comes in handy. I've used masking tape before with my cards. You can use a full piece on the back, or you could just, you know, just use part of it. But a little bit of space is not a bad idea. Okay, so all we're going to do is line them up as best as you can. You can come back and cover it with some more tape. That's fine. But for now, we just want to keep them in place. We don't want it moving around on us. And for some reason, my masking tape has lost its stickiness. That's weird. Oh, that's not good. See? Masking tape. Weird, right? All right. Who knew? That's weird. Okay. I don't think I've ever had masking tape do that. It's acting like washi tape. That is so bizarre. Okay. Now, I did find it was a little bit sticky when I folded it, which is okay. We can fix that. Just take a little bit of cornstarch and get the stickiness off. That's all. So let's see. You just want a slight gap, not too big. You just want to be able to fold it nicely, okay? So we're going to move it over, and we're going to keep adding these pieces until we have all of them. You can make this as long or as short as you like. But I like these because they're their own little entities basically at this point, and you can do a theme. You know, if you want to practice some different color theories, you know, pastels, monochromatic. These are great little sample booklets that you can make for that kind of thing. So if you're just trying to figure out, you know, I want to do a shape like circles or squares or whatever the case may be, this is a good way to do all these little samples, because then you have a little booklet and you can reference back to it. You could do different techniques. Spackling, you can do whatever you feel like, right? So your own stencils, that'd be kind of cool. Okay, so now we have one big row, see? And then this folds up really, really nice, right? Another little booklet. So this is your spine, and here's where all the sticky stuff is. So you just get your little cornstarch baggie, okay, and put it on there so it doesn't stick to anything. So not sticky anymore, we're good to go. All right, and that's it. Again, you can make a cover for this. That'd be really kind of cool. Or you could just decorate the front of it and then just leave it as is. You don't have to make a cover. But you can stand it up, you can put it inside. Oh, I know, you're gonna hate me for this one. You can put it in a box. But if you made something this size, it would fit in there quite nicely. And I think, you know, it's perfect for Mother's Day. Just saying, putting it out there. So these are really nice. So, you know, one is with just pieces, and the other one, where did I put it? Oh, here it is. Is just folded 2 strips. Make sure one is a little bit shorter than the other, so when you connect them, you have a nice fold. Okay. You can use a bone folder with this. You don't have to if you don't want to. I kind of like the less creased version. Okay, but you can decoupage this. You can stencil on it. You can do whatever you feel like. So let's check out our stencil. So here's 2 booklets. Okay. 2 different kinds of art journals that you can make on your own. You can always use a little canvas as a book cover kind of thing. Let's see. Okay, so here's our stencil. It's all dried up. Let's see if it'll come off. Look. Beautiful. See? So now you have a stencil. I know. It's the cheapest way I can think of to make a stencil. All right, so we're going to use this paper because we can. All right. So let's see. What do we need? Okay. I want something that'll show up nice and bright. Okay. So I have. So I'm going to use this full strength. It's wild eggplant. I got it at the dollar store. And here's my little glass plate. I'm just going to put some on there. Oh. You could use a sponge. You could use a stencil brush, whatever you feel like doing. I'm just going to use a sponge. And we shall go from there. All right. We'll see what it looks like. You can use parts of it. You can. The beauty of it is it's plastic, right? You can just wash it off if you really want to. I don't really tend to wash my stencils, but you can use it just part of the stencil. You can use the whole stencil. You could really be very creative in how you make your own stencil, but each one will be slightly different because you don't know how the glue is going to land, right? So that's kind of nice. The nice thing about this is because you can just play with different shapes. And I'm sorry if I'm shaking the table and the camera, but there we go. And then you can just keep on layering in different areas. You could use different colors, just different parts of it. But I like the organicness of it. So that's kind of cool. All right. So yeah, making your own stencil and your own little art book, you can come up with something completely unique and different from anything else out there. Okay, that's what I like about making my own stencils, is like, yeah, as much as I love to buy other people's things, it's not always available, first. Second, you know, it all tends to look the same after a while. If that's the look you're going for, that's great. I don't necessarily like that look. Okay, we're going to use one of these, and we're going to use the stencil on it, okay? Again, you don't have to be all in just one little area. You can spread it out a bit. Let me use some more of this eggplant. Okay. But I kind of like the contrast of this eggplant color with the pastels underneath. It's really pretty. Now you could use stamps if you wanted to. You can use decoupage, you know, napkins, paper napkins on here would be pretty. There's so many beautiful paper napkins out there now. Oh. You know, especially if you don't feel overly artistic and you just want to slap something down and make something quick. You know, that's okay. We can cheat a little bit. Although it's not really cheating because you're still putting in the work, right? You're just using the materials you have on hand. So, and you can keep turning your paper around, because then you can really get a feel for where you want the colors to go. A lot of art journalists will tell you white space is very important. I'm not overly fond of white space. I feel always the need to fill it in with some color or something. I don't know why. It's just the way I am. But there's something to be said about white space. So, you know, you can just do a little bit or you can do a lot. It doesn't matter. You can do it either way. And then you can just go in and do different things with it. All right, I'm just going to set that out of there. Okay, so there, we can let that one dry. And then we have this one. So let's see, do we want to do a stencil again? Again, you don't have to, but you know, I have it available. So let's, and you can just do it in little areas. I find this is a lot of fun, and you can end up with something really cool. You could do a stencil that is all linear, or you could do complete swirls. I don't know, just, you know, experiment, play with it and see what you come up with. Because, you know, there's so much potential for creativity with hot glue. It doesn't really cost a whole lot. You know, you go to the dollar store, you get one of those little mini glue guns and some glue sticks and a silicone mat, and away you go. I have even done this with school glue on a silicone mat. You'll have to let it dry overnight, but it works just as well. So, which is kind of cool. So the less paint you use, the fainter it is, obviously. So it depends if you want lots of color, like a big punch, or if you just want soft colors. So, and you can hang this up on a hook. You don't have to put it in anything. And if it gets wrecked, well, then it gets wrecked. You don't have to wash it if you don't want to. I don't tend to wash mine. I just throw them in a basket with all my other stencils, and I call it a day. So, I just put it in one of these long baskets, shallow baskets from Dollar Tree, which is great. So, boom, done, stored. Now we can pick out another stencil if we want. So let's see, what else do we want? Okay, so I did my own faces once, and you know, I got the inspiration from Dina Wakley's people faces and whatnot else stencils. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to make my own. The eyes were the most difficult. I just used a eyelet setter punch for that, and then the rest is just an X-Acto knife. You're never quite sure what you're going to end up with, but it is kind of cool. So we're going to use purple anyway. So I'm just going to So some of these are going to be together, some are going to be apart. So I'm just going to add faces wherever I feel like. There's no rhyme or reason. You don't have to have, you know, a goal. The goal is to have fun, just to play, just to do something different. You know, test out your theories, test out ideas, different things you might want to try, and just go with it. And that's part of the fun of being in the studio. It's very relaxing. All right. Turned out rather well, I think, anyway. Now you could do another color if you want to, but I have the purple out, so we're using purple. Okay, that's really cute. I like that. Okay, one more face. One more. There we go. All right, every piece has something on it, ish. Good enough for me. All right, I'll toss that into the basket. What else can we add to it? So let's say you don't have a stencil and you still want to do something fun. There's a few other ways you can add things. So I have all those acetate sheets, right, that I make the stencils out of. So what I've done is also kept the parts that I cut out, okay? So now you have all these different things that you can play with. Let's see. So here's, I kind of like this one. This one's really cool. I've done this one before in an art journal. It's actually a pretty good size. You do flowers, you could do plants, people. So I had other stencils a long time ago, and these were part of it. These were the shapes that they cut out of the stencil, so you just use the other part of it. Or you can just punch out of plastic or even paper and use it as a stencil. So let's see, what shall we use? So I have the fancy one. Do we want to use a plant? Maybe a little plant. Sure, you know what? Let's go for it. Okay. So let's get our little glass palette out. It's a lot of paint. I might do something with that. We'll figure that out later. I'm not too concerned about it right now. But we are going to get some green, maybe. So this one is tropical green. So we'll use that. The other paint is dry, so I can just go right over top of it. That's one thing I like about this. It's like I don't have to worry about it because I could just take the scraper to it. So we are going to use the other end of our sponge for the green. And we're going to, I don't know, make a mess. You could use inks, of course, if you wanted to. That'd be cool. You know, get your distress oxides out, your distress inks. But this gives a bit of a halo effect around the plant, so you see the background. So it's not overwhelming. Okay, and you could just do parts of it. If you want a darker green, you can, of course. Use your imagination. Just experiment. And you don't have to take this too seriously, because you just made this out of some scrap paper, and you can just sort of play and see what you like. Some of it is subtle, some of it not so much, but that's okay too. And if you didn't want to use acrylics, you could use you know, spray inks. You could use whatever you wanted to. Sometimes acrylics is just less messy. Sometimes. Unless you're like me and you're messy all the time, then, you know, there's no hope of staying clean. But I kind of like overlapping between the two pages. Okay. So there. And then we'll just set it aside. Again, I don't really clean anything. It's just the way I am. I don't wipe it down. Alrighty. So I'm going to set this one aside, and we'll work on this one. So we're doing 2 at a time. Wow, fancy. Fancy. I even named it Fancy. Can you imagine? It's a bit ridiculous, isn't it? But I kind of like the shape of it. This would show up better probably with certain inks or like much darker colors. But again, I wanted to keep it subtle and springy, and if I wanted to write on top of it, you know, I could. Alright, so see how subtle that is? But it's really pretty. I like it. And you don't have to do the whole thing. You could just do part of it. And overlap onto the next page. I just really like how that looks. And then you can just do on the top even. Excuse my hand. Okay. And let's do another one. It's pretty blank over here, so we're gonna, again, white space and I don't know what it is. I don't like too much white space. It makes me uncomfortable. My house is like that too. If it's a blank wall, I need to put something on it. Don't ask me why. It's just a personal preference, I guess. Okay. There we go. So we have added a bunch more to both of these. So let's see, what else can we do? So now we can do other things. You can use your alcohol ink markers on top of this if you wanted to. That'd be kind of cool. I've done that on more than one occasion. Just make sure it's really, really dry. Okay, you don't want it to be too wet, because then your alcohol ink won't go over it. Now, if you do have art markers, it's perfect. Or you could even use a Sharpie. I got these at the dollar store. They're the Pro Sharpie. They're for wet and oily surfaces. So you can use them on just about anything. They do stink though, but they're great for this kind of project. Okay, so let's see. And then you can start making marks. You know, just having fun. You can treat each page individually, or you can, you know, make it all one thing if you wanted to. You could do dots, you can do squares, you can do whatever you feel like. And if you have other colored Sharpies, you know, use those. So you could do coordinating colors. That'd be kind of cool. So this is just right over top of the acrylic. It works really well, which is really nice. And then you can just come back and just doodle. I do a lot of my pages ahead of time, just like putting down color. And then you can just come and sit at your desk, listen to an audiobook, or, you know, watch some Netflix and just doodle. Just have fun. Get the feeling for being creative, you know, just don't overthink it, and just having some relaxing time. I find it very zen. It's very relaxing. I know. Can I say relaxing a few more times, please? But it's true. And you can color these if you want, you know. Don't overthink it. Okay, and then if you want to, you can always come back and do each individual card like this, so it stands out more. I like doing the edges. You can create a title for this. You could do a focal point if you really wanted to, but it's not always necessary. That's the beauty of creating in a smaller way. I think sometimes we get hung up on being creative because we need to have a title or we need to have a focal point. It's not necessary. You could just treat this as a very relaxing activity and, you know, just a way to practice different things, you know. And then once you become good at something, especially if it's not something you're overly comfortable with, then you can do more planning on a larger scale or more focused on intent. Okay. You can put words on these. I have a video on pseudo graffiti, which would be kind of cool. You could do text like book pages and things like that. You could absolutely treat this as your final piece and put a focal point on it. You want to practice drawing faces, you absolutely could do that. I'm just trying to make you think about the creation, the act of the creative act itself. You know, not. It's just for the sake of creating. It doesn't have to mean anything. It doesn't have to be anything. It can just be fun. Okay? And it makes, you know, you can loosen up your creativity and just have fun with it. So there is one little booklet. Okay? And you've been practicing some doodling, some stenciling, some different things. And you just use some scrap paper that you tried things on. And you can leave this for later and continue on with it. You could even do the back if you wanted to. Okay? So the possibilities are endless. And then this one, I could probably do another day. I mean, we finished one altogether, more or less. We didn't do the front or the back, but that's okay. You can always leave it for later. It doesn't all have to be done in one sitting. You can come back to it. You can set it in a box, you can put it on the shelf, and then when you look at it and you have other ideas, it's like, yes, exactly, that's what it needs. And you can come back to it. It's okay to let it mull, okay? We can let it simmer on the back burner, and we can come back to it later. It's okay. So, yeah. Actually, I do want to try this. Let me see. I just want to try the marker for just a minute. Let's see. Should we do pink? It's not really bright. I don't have any orange on here. So let's see. Oh, ooh, that's kind of cool. So again, I got these art markers at Walmart. They're 5 for $14.99. Okay. They write really nicely. How long they last, I have no idea. So that'll be something for you to discover on your own. And, you know, try different things. If you can't afford that, obviously, just use your Sharpies. You can get those at the dollar store, no problem. So here's a Sharpie I got at the dollar store. It's a pink one. Well, let's use that for a second, shall we? So let's say you want to draw flowers. That's okay. That works just as well. All right. Are they the prettiest? No, but if you want to practice making flowers, this is the perfect way to do it. Huh? Just saying. There's another one. This is a Bic marker, but it's a nice bright green, so let's do some leaves. Okay. Again, just practice, 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 and just have fun with it. Don't overthink it. Just doodle away. And this is something you can just do in front of the television, you know, put YouTube on, whatever you feel like doing, and just go with the flow. It's okay. You don't have to do it all in one. You can just practice different shapes. But repetition always looks more unifying. So there we have it, guys. We made a stencil. We made 2 different art journals. We did some fun stuff. So yeah, I hope you liked the video and you have some ideas for your own practice for the next time. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.